One of the things that supposedly sets us apart, as a matter of fact, more than supposedly, most of the time it does, from the rest of the animal kingdom is the way we care for our children. You see, we human beings, as you know, when our babies are born, they're completely helpless. Without us, they could never survive. They can't exist on their own. A baby deer, as soon as it's born, can walk, and it's not very long before it can run. Yes, it needs its mother, but it has some ability to care for itself. Yet human children do not begin that way. It takes them a while to even learn that they exist, to learn how to walk eventually, to learn how to talk. And when they learn, boy, do they talk. And they need us for a long period of time because of the fact that in the society we live, particularly here in the USA, we don't have an agrarian society where children had to learn how to work on the farm at ages 4 or 5 or 6, where the country boys could drive the tractors by the time they were 7 or 8. We live mostly in urban culture where our children don't learn those kind of responsibilities early. And we, as parents, have the responsibility to teach them as much as we possibly can about life, not just how to walk and how to talk, although that's important, but to let them know that we are there for them, that we care about them. And yet, we are failing, and failing in a big, big way. Hi, my name is Dr. Joe Beam. This program is a program we do about marriage, but also about other aspects of the family. It's sponsored by Marriage Helper. That is a 501c3 nonprofit based out of Middle Tennessee. We work all across America and have worked with couples from all parts of the world. We, every Tuesday evening at 9 p.m. Central Time in America, do this program live. Occasionally it's recorded, but almost always live. And typically we ask people to call in about the topic we're discussing that day. And quite often the people have questions that they wish to ask, and we answer those as best we can. Tonight I'm going to change that just a little. First, let me tell you what's going to be happening next Tuesday night when there's not all the other things going on like, a presidential election. Next Tuesday night, my special guest is going to be Coy Walters from the Newburgh, Indiana area. He is the head of a counseling center up there and has been a dear friend of mine for many, many years. Sometimes Coy helps me actually do our workshop called Marriage Helper 911. It's a 3-day intensive workshop we do for marriages in crisis. We, by the grace of God, have an extremely high success rate with that workshop in helping people to solve their problems and save their marriages. 3 out of 4 couples that come to the workshop actually turn their marriages around and make them good again. If you want to know more about that, you can check our website, Marriage Helper, that's Marriage Help ER, marriagehelper.com. In addition to helping me with the workshop, Coy also made it clear to me not long ago when we were talking that he knew about something particularly that's of great value to anyone in this culture, and particularly for those who are standing for their marriages while the other spouse does not want to be married anymore. You may have heard us talk about on this program before a thing called mindfulness. And when we talk about mindfulness, it was an idea of how do you keep yourself from ruminating, having those same thoughts going in your head over and over and over again that just about drive you crazy, worrying about this and what's going to happen about that. But instead to have a positive mind about it so that we can function better in life. And if we indeed do have a chance to save our marriages, that we'll do the right things rather than doing the wrong things because our rumination leads us not to think as clearly as we should. And so Coy let me know not long ago that he can teach us a system. As a matter of fact, it didn't originate with him, but he knows how to use it and use it extremely well. This thing has had over 300 studies done on it. It's been around since the 1970s. And it's a process that you can use to stop the rumination, to stop driving yourself crazy, thinking about all the problems. Now, definitely, because we work with marriages in crisis, it applies to that, but to any kind of stress that you're dealing with, which can hurt you not only mentally, but also emotionally, even physically and spiritually. And so next Tuesday evening, I believe that will be the 15th of November, 2016. Coy will join me on this program. We'll talk about that and take your calls toward the end. Now, tonight, I've advertised this program as being kids whose parents either split up or who are fighting. And these kids are asking, what about me? You know they're thinking it, even if they don't say it out loud. What about me? Does anyone care about my hurt, my fear, my future? I remember sitting at a table for lunch one day after a church service where I spoke with some people, and a lady that I've known for many years, when I started talking about the fact that when parents divorce, it's not unusual at all. As a matter of fact, it often happens that the kids wind up thinking somehow it's my fault that I did this, even though we know that's not the case. And this woman I've known for years who was sitting there having dinner with us, or lunch with us, I guess it was, she finally spoke up and said, when my parents divorced, I felt that very same thing. And so What About Me is actually the name of a new department for our marriage helper, 501c3 nonprofit organization. And it's going to be specifically aimed at helping kids whose parents are fighting, divorcing, or divorced, and for kids who perhaps have lost a parent or parents to death, kids who are being raised by grandparents or aunts and uncles. And at the same time, it's going to be aimed at adults who care about these children and really want to help them. Now, it's not quite ready, but it will be very soon. It's going to be What About Me? That's the name of it, What About Me? And the things we have for the kids will be primarily in apps because that's how they primarily use the internet. And the things for adults will be on the websites with videos teaching you all kinds of things. For example, such as how to do play therapy with a young child to help that child deal with his or her fear or anger or frustration. And so tonight on this program, what we're doing is asking people to call and tell us your stories about what happened when you were a child, that your parents either fought a lot, or they divorced, or they separated a lot, or an affair took place that really affected your marriage, affected your family in a bad way, how it affected you then and how it affects you now. Now, if you're under 18 and you wish to call in, be sure to have one of your parents right next to you because I'll need to ask him or her if they give permission for you to speak to me for a couple of reasons. One is this thing goes all over the world. And secondly, be aware that if you talk to me tonight, I'm going to be taking your quotes. We're going to be recording this, as we always do, but understand that tonight we're going to be doing something different with those recordings that we typically don't do, and that is we'll be taking quotes from here and there, not real long quotes, but quotes from here and from there, and we're going to be using those to help kids. You say, how in the world can you use my story, my quotes, to help kids? Well, in many, many ways, more than I want to take time to describe because I'd rather get to the callers. But trust me, we help each other by sharing our experiences, and we'll take quotes from your experience, sometimes to help parents understand what's going on, sometimes to help kids understand how adults think about it later, sometimes to help people decide whether they want to be part of that thing that we do for kids when they hear these quotes about, wow, you're telling us the truth. Those pains don't exist just during their childhood. Those pains exist for years afterwards. So please be aware, when I take your call tonight, we'll be recording you as we always do. It'll be available on the internet as it always is, but I'm specifically telling you that we are going to use it in a way to help other people. And so you may hear these quotes on our websites. You may hear these quotes in other ways that we use, but all of it always to help kids and the problems that they have. All right, so now we're going to go to the first caller. This is area code 973. Hello, 973. You're on the air.
Hi, Dr. Joe. How are you today?
I'm doing well, and how are you?
I'm doing well.
Good. Do you have a story for us about how your parents' divorce or fighting or separation affected you?
Yes, my parents, when I grew up, they didn't really have a relationship with each other. My father was involved in his own activities and his own hobbies, and he was absent most of the time. He was a good provider. He provided everything we needed, but he never showed me any affection. I never got a hug or a kiss from him. Never showed me any love, and he was gone on the weekends. And my mother was bitter, and they didn't really fight a lot, but they didn't connect. They didn't show any love to each other. And I think that it has hurt me with my relationships now with my wife and my children. And
well, let me ask you a couple of questions about that, if it please. How did it affect you then when you were a child?
I was very good in school, and I basically became an underachiever. I just did what I needed to do to get by. And, you know, I got into college and everything, but I never applied myself. And I didn't have any, and I didn't have a lot of friends. I spent a lot of time by myself.
Did you feel ever that your father truly loved you?
I don't think that he knew how to love me, and I guess back then I didn't feel love. No. Okay,
and so you say it affects you now in your adult life with your wife and your children. In what way?
I have trouble expressing my emotions in the proper fashion. I grew up with a mother who wanted a close family, and she didn't get that with her husband, and so she was bitter and you know, depressed, I guess, and you know, that affected us as children, and I don't know, I sometimes resort to some of the things that she does, the passive aggressive behavior, and I have to check myself with that.
I understand. And how does that affect your wife or your children? How do they react?
I don't think that they connect as well with me as they could. I schedule time to be with them. I show them a lot of affection, particularly because my father never really did it to me. But it's sort of like my wife does things with them and plans things with them, and I can come along, but I always feel like the outsider.
I'm so sorry. And if I may ask, how old are you now, sir?
I'm 47.
47. And if I may ask, how old are your children?
They're 10 and 8.
10 and 8. Boys, girls?
I have an older boy and actually twin 8-year-olds, a boy and a girl.
Wow. Okay. And so and I realize that you're being very open and very honest and transparent, and I appreciate that very much. But at the same time, you're accepting responsibility for the fact that I need a better relationship with my children, even though I love them very much. But I think what happened with my parents back when I was a kid made it where that I don't quite know how to do that. Is that what you're saying, or am I saying it wrong?
Yes, I would say that. And I would say that I really didn't learn, I guess, how to be a father. I didn't learn how to be a man because I didn't have that role model that and I don't have that now. I have to look to other people. I can't look to my father because he's there. He's not that he can't help me.
Right. I understand. Are you, and I'm asking a question that I think I already know the answer to, do your children feel that they love you, that you love them?
Yes. My children feel that I love them and they love me, but it's hard to make the positive memories that you need to make all the time. I don't see that I'm able to do that, and that's my job, really. I need to make those positive, joyful, special moments with them, and I think that I'm not really helping their self-esteem as much as I could.
Mm-hmm. Well, I tell you what, I am so impressed with your openness. As soon as we get this program ready to go, and we're getting closer and closer all the time, it'll be What About Me? The sections in there for parents, there'll be sections in there that'll help you do what you want to do for these kids. I can hear the love in your voice for your children. At the same time, I can hear you wanting to be able to give them more, and you want to have that equipping that you didn't get from your own dad. And so, my friend, this new project is for people just like you and for kids just like yours. Not because you're divorced, but because of the fact that you have been affected by divorce. And, of course, it'll also be for kids whose own parents are divorcing. I mean, that'll be a part of it. But the story that you're telling me now even motivates me, and I'm sure as our team hears it, it'll motivate them even more to do what we're trying to do to help, because I hear the pain, but I also hear the love. You're a good guy, aren't you?
I try to be.